Hey there, Hustle for Happiness fam. Welcome back to the show. I am so excited to introduce you all to our guest today, Arianna Salyards, the inspiring woman behind the Modern Day Girlfriend blog. Now, I know a lot of you out there probably relate to Arianna's story. In 2021, she went through something that no one should have ever experienced. She suffered her first pregnancy loss, and I can't even imagine how devastating that must have been. But instead of letting it defeat her, Arianna found the strength to turn her pain into purpose on her journey to happiness. Now, Arianna started openly sharing her story of loss and hope on her blog and social media. And let me tell you, her vulnerability and honesty are so refreshing. She's not afraid to get real about the ups and the downs of life. And that's exactly the kind of role model we all need on the Hustle for Happiness podcast. So whether you're navigating your own fertility struggles, relationship challenges, or just trying to figure out this whole self-love thing, I know Arianna's story is going to speak to you. She's been there. She's come through the other side, and she's here to share her proven strategies for overcoming toxic patterns and manifesting the life you truly deserve. So get ready to be inspired, uplifted, and motivated to embrace your authentic self. Hustle for Happiness, fam. Arianna's here to remind us all that even in our darkest moments, there's always a glimmer of hope. Amen. So let's get into it. Hey, I'm Courtney Brooke, and this is Hustle for Happiness podcast. We are all on this journey to find happiness, and let's face it, it takes work. And honestly, it's not always rainbows and butterflies. This podcast is dedicated to helping you navigate life and cut through the noise. As a certified life coach, recovering perfectionist, and survivor of the foster care system, I'm all about keeping things real. With my unique outlook on life that is truly infectious, we cover everything from achieving happiness and optimal self-care to stories of those sharing their wisdom and expertise. Thank you for showing up for yourself. Now, let's get started. Thank you so much for coming on Hustle for Happiness podcast. I am so happy to not only be in San Diego, but to meet another friend and your story to share with people. So introduce yourself, a little bit of background for those tuning in, not knowing who you are.
Okay, my name is Arianna Salyards. I am the content creator and blogger behind the Modern Day Girlfriend. It started out really as a relationship website back in the day when there really was just like food blogs, which I was obsessed with, but I was obsessed with food, but then also there was the new dating apps that came out, right? And I had just gotten out of a long-term relationship. I was like, girl needs to just like have fun, let loose, see what's out there. And so I did. And was I floored at what I found. So it started as that. And so I would write about my experiences on dates. From like dates from Bumble and things like that. And oh my goodness, I think they're still up there if you go to the moderndayGirlfriend.com. I think because it has now repurposed itself into what it is today, but it first started out. But some of the dating stories are probably still on there and they are quite fun to read. So that's really how it started out. And then as the years progressed, we all change, we all grow up, stopped going on dating apps just by personal preference. And I really just focused on myself. And also with that journey, it started again as a relationship website, but then it kind of went into more lifestyle because I was doing the work on myself. And my mother also got diagnosed with multiple myeloma, which is a cancer of the blood. And so I really saw how she started using food as medicine and how she kind of changed her diagnosis around. Her type of cancer is livable. It's never curable. So they gave her a year and she's now going on 8. So watching her journey and seeing how food really helped her, it really interested me and just overall women's health. Now, I know this is a long answer.
No, I love
to your
this because
question.
I hope you're ready we have so much commonality, which makes me so excited to even have you here even more. You're good. Keep going. I'm excited.
So with that, I just was so interested in food and how that fueled our body and women's health. And it really started to like take off in what I wanted to do in life. As I got into my fertility journey after meeting my husband and our journey with that. to our baby girl, our miracle girl. And I'll get into that more because that is an even longer answer. But yes, it now has shifted. The moderndayGirlfriend.com is more about just women's health and overall health that has a more of a viewpoint from the fertility aspect. Because honestly, you have to have overall health for your fertility. And so it's whether you just want to feel good or you want to try to get pregnant or create an optimal environment for your body. That's really what the Modern Day Girlfriend is about.
And I don't know if I told you this when we were speaking before the podcast, but James and I met on Hinge. I was on dating apps. So you know what it's like to go through dating apps and you've been on a lot of dates. You go through a lot of men, whether it's physically or emotionally through the app. You're swiping, so I still see you're going through it. So you've had your own testimony on just working through with men and finding yourself and the mindset around that.
Oh, yes.
And so then you started your blog based on that.
Yes.
So I'm sure all of us are dying, but what is one story that sticks out to you that you've written on your blog that just, if someone goes to it and reads it, like,
oh gosh,
bring us in.
Oh, sorry, Dad, if you're watching and listening. There was this, and honey, my husband too. Well, he knows the story.
We can't eliminate. We can't eliminate our past,
yes,
right?
No, we can't. But he actually knows the story.
Maybe this will give us some hope out there for those that are going through apps.
Yes,
and dating.
Yes. So, I mean, there's quite a few, but this one really, because it made me stop and go, what am I doing? Like, why am I that way to protect somebody else? So there was, I love a good accent. There was a beautiful British man, swiped right real fast. We went on a couple dates, and one of the dates I stayed over. And then the next morning, all of a sudden I just hear like a knock on the door, like outside his door, not his bedroom, and I was like, oh gosh.
Like someone at the front door?
Yeah. And as a woman, I was like, that sounds like a woman girlfriend.
There's some intention behind that door.
There is something there. So I was like, what am I going to do?
I'm that girl.
Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I get out of this situation? And then I'll just never talk to this guy again. Like, but when you live in LA and you have your roommates.
Love
and
is
so
blind.
I was like, yes.
Love is blind.
And when we were that age, so I was like, oh, I'll just pretend I was here with his roommate and like I slept on the couch or something. So I created this whole story in my head to help get this guy out of this scenario, which the girlfriend barged in and I had to hide in a closet.
Wait, this is movie status.
Had to hide. And I was like, what? How am I going to talk myself out of this? So I literally hid in a closet
for him.
Yeah.
Like, see, like we do that though. Like we make up something. We do that.
And so then I was literally in a closet and I was like, what am I doing this for? Like, why am I in here being like, oh my gosh, let me help this guy out of this sticky situation instead of walking out there and being like, girl, leave him. Do you know what I mean? Instead of empowering,
hold her hand,
yeah,
and walk out together.
Yeah, where it was like I needed to protect him instead of another woman and myself, and be like, no. And so after that, I was like, no, thank you.
Because he's probably, if it's not you, say that he breaks up with that girlfriend, you guys get together, he's probably going to do that to you. And so it's like, how much of you, we turn blind eyes. Why did you not turn a blind eye? Like, why did it click? To have 50 dates before that? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, what was in that moment where you're like, I'm done. Were you done with apps too?
Yeah. I think it was when I found myself questioning me and like my integrity, where it's like, why am I changing or wanting to help cover up this situation for somebody else? He's not only treating her wrong, he's treating me wrong. And I won't allow that. Like I had been through many relationships, whereas like, different relationships teach you different things. And I was at that point in my life after a very long-term relationship that shattered me. I realized I was like, okay, yep, this is the same issue, not same issue because he didn't cheat, but it's that same like not putting myself first, always putting him in front of me that I needed to work on and stop. And this was really that like.
It's like the pattern. You saw your pattern.
I did.
Right. It wasn't about the guy.
Closet.
Yeah. In the closet, you're like, wait, this is a me problem. Yeah. This isn't even about him. Yes. How am I attracting this shitty guy?
Yeah. But that's the thing too, is that I don't know how I did, like where it comes from. And, when you're in it, you don't think about it, but it's like, I can look back at that situation and go, that, even though that's shitty, can I curse? Okay. that's shitty and that happened, it happened for me, not to me. And it happened for me to become the person and the woman that I was supposed to be, not only for meeting my husband. And that's great, but it's like for me as a woman, so it's like I needed to go through that because I'm showing what I will accept, what I won't accept. And also too, I taught me it's not only what you attract, but it's what you're attracted to. So I was like, I need to not be attracted to those type of what's in him that's similar to my ex-boyfriend, similar to the boyfriend before him. Like, what am I like attracted to? And for me, I'm very much like, I want to help people. And that's also to what I do in my job. But when I did it in relationships, it was detrimental to my own personal like happiness and health.
Right. It's like helping is your underlying love language, but it was costing you.
Yes.
And you can help, but not everyone needs your help. Or what I heard, which is amazing, is I'm I'm lessening myself. This isn't the type of help I like to help. As my mom would say, is you don't need a community service project.
Yes.
Right. And you've given enough time. You've donated your time. You've been through the guys. You've helped all these guys. Community project, this charity is done.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, yes.
And you can use that for good, but it was the wrong case. Right. So that's like the mindset around dating. And so you got off apps.
I did.
And how did you meet your husband?
Oh gosh. So we had spoken before, which I just said to you, where it was like, I was good on my own. I was having the time of my life, just like investing in me and just truly happy. And my girlfriends we had an alumni weekend at our college and we were like, let's go. And I really did not want to go. And my mom has always said to me, and she said to me that day, you never know how the trajectory of your life will change if you just show up. And I was like, okay.
Chills.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Like,
Go,
but
Mom.
at that moment, I was like, you say that all the time. Whatever, Mom. Like, yeah. So I was like, fine, we'll go. And it was literally across the way in the beer garden of our alumni weekend. I saw him and he saw me. And it was so funny that like, I can go and talk to anybody, could talk to a wall for an hour. Like
for sure.
But every time I tried to approach him, I got really, really hot and I started laughing and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I can't go over and talk to him. So I had my girlfriend go over. She was there for like 45 minutes. I was like, what is she doing? Would not.
Stealing your man?
No, like, I was like, what is she? They didn't walk over. And so then my guy friend was like, all right, I'm going to go over. And he literally went up to Neil, who is my husband, and said, you see the girl in the stripes? I was wearing stripes. She likes you. You need to go talk to her. But before that all happened and we connected, he actually found me on LinkedIn. So talking about dating apps, we connected on LinkedIn, which is not a dating app at all.
It can be. The grocery store is not a dating app, but it can be, right? It's what you make. Yeah, you got to get creative. So you saw him.
Yes.
On LinkedIn.
Yeah. And he reached out to me because we, the similar, whatever places you go, connections, college. So we connected and that was it. And I was like, he looks so familiar to me. And he even asked his friends before he came to the alumni weekend. He's like, do you know this girl? Did you have a class with her? Did you know her? So I like to say he had a photo of me in his phone, which telling the story every time, I'm like, sounds a little creepy. Straight creepy. Up, if someone said, I know you and pulls up a picture. I know. I would probably run too. Yeah. But he just, as we were talking, you're like, no, it's different. From the moment I met him, it wasn't lust. And I think a lot of people confuse love and lust. It was true love. Like I looked at him and I was like, oh, that's the person I'm supposed to do life with because I felt calm. I just felt calm. And I have felt that every day since. Versus now compare it with the guys you were dating. For those that are dating or in a relationship that, I don't have that feeling. If we don't have that feeling, what did you notice about yourself with Neil versus other guys? I was genuinely happy with myself. And, obviously we all still have bad days and we still can deal with our issues and we all have things going on. But I was literally, I was like, I'm going to die alone on my couch with my dog with a bottle of nice wine. And I'm okay with that. Right. Like you were not only comfortable with yourself, but you also were like, I don't need to meet someone. Yeah. So the desperateness, if that's a word, well, it is today. Yes, it is. Wasn't there. Yes. Yeah. And the need. Yeah. And I also too, I was like, I don't want to fix anybody. I don't want to, I just want to enjoy my life. And I shared this with you before too. We connected, but then we were long distance. And I think that for us was the best thing for our relationship, because for a year and a half, we had to do long distance and communication. So our relationship has always been built on communication. So we're really good at talking to each other and telling each other like how we feel that day or what's going on. And I think that's really important in a relationship.
So the feeling versus other guys, were you not able to communicate, or what did you find within yourself? Like Neil was the one that made you love yourself and be totally comfortable versus the other guys that you were dating. Like you said there was a feeling. Did you just notice a calmness within yourself? What did you notice?
Again, there was a calmness, but it wasn't that he made me love myself. I was I loved who I was when I met him.
Love that.
And I was truly myself. And to this day, every day, like even when I come downstairs with a bun in my hair and I'm wearing the most awful pajamas, I'm like, oh, he accepts me for everything, the bad days, the good. And he allows me to feel what I need to feel. Like
you're supported. Like, I mean, you've dated toads, I've dated toads. And it's true. I believe that, like, even James makes me feel like I have like a zit on my face, or I have a breakout, or I'm just like bloated or whatever. We're judging ourselves, but they're not judging us. They love us. And I can totally, like, I didn't have to be perfect. I was already perfect. And that feeling of that, them receiving us as who we are, I remember dating too. And I can totally relate with what you're saying in terms of, the feeling is there. You are completely loved, all of you. Whether you think you're pretty or not, you're always amazing to our partners. And the guys that made us feel little or intimidated by our success or what we're doing versus what they're not doing, you felt safe. And I also, now going to your relationship, the long distance, that comfortability probably transferred even when you weren't seeing each other, right? So it's all connected. And now long distance relationships get a bad stigma, but James and I had a long distance relationship for 9 months. And I'm a preacher Jew. That long distance really allows you to build the foundation of who you are apart so you can come together, still being independent and not being codependent. Do you relate with that?
Yeah.
Like, I totally feel like I'm still my own person in this relationship, right?
Yeah.
Is that what helped you get to that point of being able to be so confident and independent with each other? Like, was there anything, maybe someone listening in is, how do I even build that independence with my partner? What helped you?
Again, I think it's where I was when I met him, and where I was going and who I wanted to be and who I was transforming into. And because we were doing long distance, I had to be independent on my own in that emotional aspect and in my career and all, like especially what we do. And, it's me and nobody else. Like, so it's make or break. So it's very like, I had to be okay on my own. And like, so
you know that it's not his fault if he's not there. Like, where it's like, you weren't here for me. It's like, you could have fallen into that victim, right? Or being frustrated. When am I going to see you again? It's like, I'm hearing like one, communication totally helped you.
Yes.
But seeing it as an opportunity, right? To be you still, because you came in being yourself. So it wasn't like you guys were just becoming one. Some people do that where they come together just to check a box that I have a partner.
Yes. I know. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you had this long distance relationship, and anything that really worked for you was communicating.
Yes.
To me, what comes up in my mind is like the vulnerability to communicate, the ability to be heard, because obviously the time and touch and quality wasn't there.
Yeah. And also too, there was a situation that was going on also too in his life when we first met, where we really had to build trust right away. And I actually had just come out of not like dating in a relationship, but was talking to a guy, and there was like not a similarity, but just this kind of like, I don't even know how to explain it, and I don't want to share those stories, but it was very much where it was like, I have to fully trust this person that I just met, and he lives long distance and all of these things, and he has this outward situation, like trying to attack us. So I can either run from it and be like, I'm not doing this again, or I can trust him, trust how I'm feeling. Because again, with him, it wasn't like, of course, I lust after my husband, and he's to me the most handsome person in the entire world.
I mean, he is.
To me, he's perfect, but it wasn't that like, oh my God, I can't breathe without him here. I was like, oh, I don't want to do life without him. Like, it's not like I can't breathe without him. I don't want to breathe without him. Do you know what I mean?
It's like a complete choice.
Yes.
Right. And I feel like it's more empowering. And I'm sure things came up for you during the long distance, like building that trust because of the past relationships or just dating and things like that. So let's evolve. Like your guys, so how long you guys waited a year and a half, you said, long distance. What was like the pivotal moment of like being done with that? Was he in school or why
No.
18 months?
Because he actually we were either talking about me moving to Colorado, which is where he's from, or him to LA. And so we were just like, all right, come to LA. Let's find you a job out here. And he actually found a job in San Diego. So then we were like, all right, we're going to San Diego. And I think that also now with a child, it's different, which we're talking about. But it was really great for us to we did it for 6 months, but to come out here and have a different place where neither one of us really knew anybody and kind of set up life together and live together. And which we've talked about, we're like, would we let our daughter live with somebody before they're like married and this and that? And we're like, yeah, we would. And also
stress test it. Why not? Like get yourself dirty.
Yeah. I mean, because there's still things like yesterday I was doing the sheets and I do look through all the sheets to make sure there's nothing in it. Cause we also have a tiny dog named Tater Tot who believes it's her bed, not ours.
But it is.
Yes.
I'm like,
yes.
You're wrong.
Like we've brought the baby in there and she's like, no. So she's very territorial over the bed. And I was like, okay, looking through stuff. And there was
a safe place.
It is. But then I was doing the laundry after and his tissue paper, his blowing his nose was everywhere all over the washing machine because I missed it. And I'm like, there's still stuff that I know that I do that drives him insane and vice versa. But we knew this going in for a long time. You know what I mean? So it wasn't things that we moved in not knowing, knowing each other. And so I think living together before you get married is a good.
All right. So living together, overcoming long distance relationship. Now let's talk about your fertility journey because this is something you're very passionate about and you've switched your whole platform and really gotten into. So talk about leading into it, where you were and wherever you want to take over.
Yes. So our fertility journey started end of 2020, 2021. We were lucky and blessed in the sense that we tried 4 times, got pregnant. Well, we tried 5 times. 5th one was IVF. But tried 4 times and we got pregnant 3. So those first 3, 2 were miscarriages at different stages in my first trimester. And then the 3rd was an ectopic pregnancy. And that each loss is so different and so unique. But with the ectopic, I also lost my left fallopian tube. And that was really scary. All of them were scary. But it shifts your mindset because you think about your fertility going forward. And I always thought it wouldn't be this hard. I come from a big Italian and Greek family.
Yeah. No pressure.
We spawn like this.
You're Greek. Yeah, James is Greek. I saw you making a Greek salad on your Instagram, not to take away, but I was like, she didn't put any Greek salads don't have lettuce in them. No. And I was like, she's Greek. That was like the test because I was like, she is Greek.
Yep.
But anyways, Italian families, Greek families are big.
Yes.
James's family's big.
Yes. And nobody, until I suffered with my fertility, did I know that I didn't think anybody in my family had fertility issues. Lo and behold, my mom actually did before she had me and my sister. So that was interesting for me to find out after. But the ectopic pregnancy really shifted our journey because we were like, well, should we just go through IVF? Because if I lose my other tube, I'll have to go through IVF anyways.
So you lost your tube. How? How did you find out?
So this is also something that I wanted to share. I kept going in when I knew I was pregnant. I was like, my back hurts so bad. I can't get up. I can't move. They're like, it's not related. You can't have back pain with an ectopic pregnancy.
Well, it's all related because it's in our body. Everything is connected.
Thank you. And I was like, no, you don't understand. And so we went in to look for the baby and was not there. I was like, okay, well, can it be in a top? No. So that was around 5 weeks because we had the miscarriage before. So my doctor was like, we will be on top of it. The 2 miscarriages before. So I was always going at 5 weeks. So did that, couldn't find it. Then they were like, we'll just wait. Okay, it's too small maybe. Then it was around 8 weeks. And when I tell you, my chest was to my kneecaps because that's how I couldn't walk.
Just hurling over in pain.
Yeah.
So you knew.
I knew something was wrong. And so I went to the emergency room. And so then I had to get I was just thinking about this actually on the drive over here. There was one ultrasound tech saw it and was like, and it's an ectopic. You've got to get it out. We got to get it out before it bursts. Then I went and got another one. And then the other guy, but it was like at 11 p.m. at night. He's like, oh no, there's nothing there. You're good. And
How frustrating.
So then the doctor was like, no, let's do it again with somebody else. They did it again and saw that it was there. And they're like, we need to take you into surgery right now. I was like, okay. And it's just one of those things. Not only was it that, but like it's so sensitive, like any nick or that you could bleed out instantly.
So for those that don't know what an ectopic pregnancy is, what's the difference between that and a quote unquote regular pregnancy?
It is where the embryo attaches anywhere else outside of the uterus.
Which is you actually really need it in the uterus.
Yes. It can only survive in the uterus.
So you had an 8-week-old fetus or embryo on the outside that could burst. And what would be the downside of it bursting?
Oh, I could die.
You could die. So like an appendicitis bursting, anything bursting inside the body can put you at harm.
Yes. And like,
and your body was in pain.
I'm no doctor, but
no, but you can talk based on your experience and not saying that. It's just what I'm hearing is the piece on listening to your body. Like you knew something was wrong.
Mm-hmm. I did. And it was just, it's frustrating when you, as many people know, to advocate for your health. And so that's also something too that I talk about as well, even not just like at the doctor's office, but even with like your insurance. I've shared tips of like how to make sure that you're covered with your insurance if you can before you go in for something. Or because even with this topic, I was hurled over, crying in pain, going, is this covered? I'm going to an emergency room that my OB is sending me to. Yes, it's covered. Yes, it's covered. Even before I went in, I was like crying and going into the operating room. And I was like, honey, call the insurance company, make sure. Because, it's just like, what
would you have done if you weren't covered though? You'd still go in. So the point is.
It's an emergency, it's surgery. So, right. But it was just one of those things for me. And of course, months later, we got this bill for like $60,000. And I was like, no. So my lesson what I asked them was every time you talk to insurance or an insurance person, ask for the reference number of that phone call.
Okay.
Always ask for the reference number. So you can report back and be like, no, we had 3 people say that it was covered.
That's good advice.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like whether you're going in for a ectopic surgery or it's just a checkup or just a migraine, right? It's keeping track.
Yes. So ask for the reference number of speaking to them. And then also there's the CPT codes, which is there's CPT codes. And then there's another code that you want to ask if there's like a surgery or something you're getting done. So
I remember, was it 20? I was just looking at pictures. It was like 2015. I was like 25 years old and I didn't have health insurance. I was hurling on the floor of my studio. I couldn't reach my phone, but I didn't have health insurance. I had appendicitis, but I had to fight it because I couldn't afford. I didn't have health insurance. Yeah. So I was like, I'm just going to fight it. You guys, if you fight appendicitis, you could die too. Yeah. Anything bursting, that's why your story resonates with me. Even being the advocate, but I was 25, 24 at the time. It's not going to happen to me. I fought it. It comes. So in the interim, I was like, I need to get health insurance because it's going to come back. And they say it comes back with a vengeance. Like it just throbs and then it gets bigger. And so I had the same attack. I fell to the floor and I go, at the time, I'm all about like connecting and networking. And I was serving in Kettner Exchange here.
Oh, yes.
And there was an orthopedic surgeon. I didn't have a doctor at the time. And I called him and I was like, hey, I'm in so much pain. He goes, you need to go to the doctor. I was like, I don't have a doctor. And so he got me into a primary care at Scripps here. And she's like, yeah, we're wheeling you into the emergency room right now. I had health insurance at the time. It's expensive bills. The price is daunting. It's scary, and some people have the means, but a lot of people like a $60,000 bill is, I'm just going to push through. Right. So I agree with like being the advocate, but those reference codes are amazing. That's a great tip just in terms of understanding how it works. But if I didn't have I remember like the bursting, like listening to my body, I didn't know what was going on. Did you know at that time you were?
Because I knew I was pregnant, I knew something was wrong with the pregnancy.
Yeah. And you question those doctors because I was just talking to someone about this. Like doctors make you feel like they know more.
And that's also too when we get to her birth where her birth was super traumatic. And I just was like, I spoke to my OB who didn't do the birth, but I was like, I will never, I wrote a grievance because I was like, that one doctor was not listening. I understand that you have to there's so many women giving birth, but as your patient speaking up, being like, this is not right. I know I have an infection. I know I'm not and not being listened to. And I know that there are many women that they're not listened to and the worst happens, And so
just because they wear a lab coat does
Yeah.
not mean they know more.
yes.
All right. So you went in 8 weeks. They
Yeah.
found this embryo.
Yes, on my tube. And so we had to take it out. So then we chose to just wait a little bit. And then we decided to go through IVF. And with IVF, we did 2 rounds of egg retrieval. The first one, we got 1 good embryo. We had 2 other embryos that if they were implanted, whether it be in me or anybody else, we would miscarry. They wouldn't survive. So we had 1 good embryo, and then we did a second egg retrieval, and all of my eggs were cysts. Yeah. So we were like, maybe we'll get another one. And because you go through IVF with this hope of like, oh, we knew it didn't guarantee us a baby, even like in the egg retrieval process. But we were just like, oh, maybe, we got 1, maybe we'll see this next one. And meanwhile, this was like, I've done and created an optimal environment for my body, right? Because the journey to her, I really had to stop and be like, I changed all my products in my home, all our cleaning products, all our self-care products, the food that we were eating, the milk, like the oat milk that we were drinking, things like that.
I mean, you clean up. So you're creating the environment. And we talked about this. What about your husband? You guys worked together
Yes.
you said that, you looked at his health too.
Yes.
We did the same thing. There's a book. I'll tag it below in the show notes, but there you can prep, like don't eat like packaged meats, like
Yes.
men don't eat bacon, like
Yes.
over fatty foods. Like, so there is a whole health regimen. So what did you guys both do together to prep for the baby? Because I feel like there's so much pressure around like women and it's our job. Like it takes 2 to tango.
It does.
Right.
And like, just as there's like, it's like 30% men, 30% women, with the fertility issue, it could be both. And with we were speaking about it a little bit before, but also too with, the sperm rate in men is dropping. And by like 2040, it's like less than half of like the sperm amount in males is going to be like, like less than half of what men today have.
You don't hear about men, like you hear men can have babies well into their 50s and 60s.
Yeah. But also too, like the more, I can never say it right. It's the more,
I think it's like so it's like thickness, like strength.
yes.
There's the amount.
Yes.
And then how fast they swim.
Yes. And like they could be in different like shapes, like, all those things. So again, too, when I share about like we change things in our environment, we know like, and I had to go through it with our losses where I was like, what did I do? Was it me? I did it. Like I caused this to happen. And through processing my emotions, I realized and learned that it was nothing that my husband or I did to cause these miscarriages. But if we were able to provide an optimal environment for this baby to thrive, then why not do it? And also too, to have just better health. And my husband and I are very active. We like to eat healthy. My husband is an avid mountain bike. Like we like the active lifestyle, but we were just like, wow, we didn't realize, the lotion, the toothpaste, the floss we're using, the toilet paper we're using, the deodorant, all of those things where it just like our toxic load that was in our body and how that can affect, how many times a year you get the flu, or, you heighten your chances of getting certain types of cancer and things like that. So it's just like, why not just make a change of things that, we can do?
Right. So regardless of like having a baby or not, how can we just live ultimately a healthier life? And you found that the toxic load is a big cause of infertility.
Yes. And that's also too why for the, like on the Modern Day Girlfriend, yes, it comes from a very like fertility lens, but it's just about overall health.
Right, because you're learning still along the way. So regardless of like someone listening having a kid right now, it's also the fact that how can we live healthier?
Yeah. And it's also too, it's like, don't think that like if you follow this to a T, you're going to end up having like 1,000 kids and you don't want to be pregnant. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you did that and you still went through IVF.
Yes. But I believe that because of how we changed everything, I was able just to create a more optimal environment for her.
That's what you can control, right?
Yes.
So you like, I can control this, so I'm going to do this.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the thing is like, you have to let go of what you can't control.
How did you do that?
I think because of our process where it was just like, even going into IVF and doing the retrievals and also doing the implantation, we both were like, okay, this might not work because IVF does not guarantee you a baby. It doesn't.
Right. And
It
how did
gave
you not get discouraged? I mean, you said you went through 4 pregnancies or 4 trying like naturally
Mhm.
IVF. How did you not get discouraged, or how did you stay positive when it could have been like scary or
I
sad? I
yeah.
mean,
Oh my gosh.
you
Well,
miscarried. Yeah.
it was like there was months, and this kind of goes back to the beginning of what we were talking about as well, where it was how I used to not protect myself and I was taking care of everybody else. I then was like, no, I need to take some time and kind of like pull back from work, pull back from friends, pull back from family, pull back from, my husband was so supportive because this was also happening to him. It wasn't in his body, but the emotional toll of what he saw happen to me. And so I had to just stop and be like, I can't share like I used to or write like I just need to protect me. But then I also too, I believe you start to learn how to process things differently. So I look at like the scars that I have from my ectopic pregnancy and I'm like, okay, these scar, we all know, like if you get a scar, right? It hurts really bad. You remember how you got it, but then you start trying to heal it and you put things on it and then it starts to heal. And then sometimes it can get infected and reopen. And then you try to heal it again and heal until it's fully healed. And then you could look back at it and know how you got it. But that pain that you felt, that horrific pain of getting it is different. You've processed, you've gone through all these stages of healing. Because I don't really think you've ever really like heal from anything. You learn how to process things differently. And so again, it was just like, okay, why is this is not happening to me? This is happening for me. And why is it happening for me? And we always said if this embryo took, we would hold our child in our arms and go, okay, this journey had to happen because she would not be created any other way than she is now. And her purpose in this world and her life is she needed to be created this way. We would not have our daughter today if we didn't go through what we went through. And we have her angel siblings, and every night they give her a little kiss. We do like a little like kisses with the lotion, and we still incorporate them. But she would not be here. And I have to have faith and understanding in that and not let her and keep in that joy.
Yeah, I think and what I'm hearing is like your end goal, right? It's not going to be an easy breezy IVF journey. There is still that possibility of still not having a child. And that was a nonverbal contract you took.
Yes. And that's the thing too. It's like maybe somebody that's listening or watching is like, well, you can say that now because you have her. And it's like, my husband and I both agreed if this didn't work for us, we would be okay. Not only just as individuals, but our marriage. And that life would look different. It just would look different for where we were at that time and where we would be going. And we would just take it day by day.
And how do you think those listening in can incorporate that same mindset? Maybe it's not through IVF, but maybe going through a difficult time with themselves or a partner.
Take it day by day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really. And I think, all these things that are, if they're happening to you or for you, just trying to really just stop and figure out why. And not even, like there are hard things going through life, but like trying to see the connection of not even why is it happening or for you, but like the way you respond to it or what is it teaching you? Like, is this something I need to have more grace in forgiving this person? Do I need to have more patience in money in my account, coming in? Do I like, it's just, what are these lessons that I'm supposed to be learning right now?
And I feel like your evolution, I mean, if we see everything as an evolution, like without what's your baby girl's name?
Carlisle.
Yeah. Love that.
Thank you.
So without baby Carlisle, the evolution of baby Carlisle was going through those miscarriages, right? Mm-hmm. Just like finding Neil was going to end up in that closet because, I feel like you see and your mindset is super refreshing in terms of, how is this a gift? And I think you're seeing how we can turn difficult times into a gift. Mm-hmm. And that resilience that you're building. I mean, your evolution, you're saying this is getting me somewhere. When, people could say, oh, you had a baby, cool. But you also knew that you might not, right? And you said that strengthens your relationship. Or even with Neil, the long distance got you to this great foundation of a marriage. And so that mindset, I think, is really refreshing. And so tell us about now bringing baby Carlisle. You said that the pregnancy was really tough on you?
The birth.
The birth. That's
Yes.
what I meant. The birth.
Had a
But
beautiful.
did you love being pregnant?
Oh my gosh, I
Because
love.
I hear horror stories about, I hate being pregnant, but like it's also refreshing that you had a good pregnancy.
Oh yes, and like I of course lived with the fear every day. As even if you didn't experience loss, women have that fear of like if there was going to be a loss. But we had four before, and I mean 3 before, and so of course that was just that added stress. But the birth was, I was almost 43 weeks, so she was staying in there, and I think she knew because I just loved.
And a normal pregnancy, for those that I don't even know, how long is it? 43 weeks.
They want to
really
try
good.
to induce you at 40,
but the baby knows when to come out. I feel like
I'm that too, and they're like, and because I was IVF, they say the placenta ages old, like faster and older. And I talked to my IVF doctor. He's like, a placenta ages after 42 weeks, no matter if it was IVF or it was natural.
So you know your body.
Yeah.
So baby Carlisle.
Yeah. So almost 43 weeks. And then she broke my water with a vengeance. And she also had pooped inside of me.
Okay.
So when my water broke, and I had no contractions, or maybe I did, but I was just like, oh, she's just kicking around in there. Like it hurt, but I was like, with the losses before that pain, I was like, nothing felt like that. So I just was
it's
like,
almost like you're tough. Like
I was like, okay, we're good. Like she's moving around. We're fine. And so, yeah, the water was like my water broke. It was disgusting because she had pooped inside.
Do you know
of
where
me.
you were at the time? Was it like in the middle of a grocery store? Like,
no,
something?
I was laying on our new white couch. But don't worry, I was like laying there on my husband's lap. And I go, and my parents were there because we thought that she took a week to come, like longer than her due date. And so we're like, all right.
First, it's a white couch. I just have to say, how ironic.
Yeah. And then I was like, I think I need to pee. I think I'm peeing myself. So I like pushed up for my husband. I was like, babe, I'm peeing myself. Like and I ran to the bathroom.
Of course you didn't think it was your water breaking at 43 weeks.
No, I go, and then all of a sudden it was just like, I don't know how the human body holds so much water. It was crazy.
You didn't think you broke your water?
No. I was like, oh. And then I was like, oh, I'm just peeing because I couldn't, at the end of pregnancy.
Coming out in your pee.
Yeah, it was dark. I was like, oh my gosh. So that happened. And so we got to the hospital and they were like, there's a certain amount of time, and somebody can obviously correct me if I'm wrong. It's like 18 to 24 hours or 36 hours of like, once they poop inside of you, you have to, like, the chances of infection heightens. So I've always wanted as natural as I could get, clearly because of like our journey into that. And but as it progressed, I was not progressing and the pain was getting really bad. So I got an epidural, and which I was like, that will be like, that was the one thing because it doesn't cross the barrier. So I was like, all right, that epidural didn't work. So they had to do it again.
Is that painful? That I've heard that epidural needle is pretty.
They just, for the second time, they just injected the whatever it was again in there. So, okay. And it kind of worked a little bit on my left leg. So I was like, all right, then, and this is in a span of 24. And I was like, all right, well, we're past there's going to be a chance for an infection.
Like you're on them.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, let's go. And then because they were trying to dilate me as well and get everything going. So I remember screaming because they then came and did the third epidural. Didn't work. And I was 8 centimeters and like a face, like, so everything was ready to go, but her head was too big. And so they were like, well, let me backtrack to why. So what I said about the doctor too. So I said to them, it's past this time. Let's get her out. I don't want to get an infection and I want her to be okay. It's okay. We'll keep an eye on you. I was like, no, I'll do a C-section. I don't care. I don't need to like win an award because let me tell you, both are traumatic and both are painful and both are natural ways to give birth. I don't care. You can fight me to the day as long.
I'm hearing that like panic was starting to sit in.
Oh yeah. And then I started to shake, which is normal. But then I was so thirsty that I was like, I need water right now. So they brought me 2 big jugs and I took them down in like 10 seconds. And I was like, my friend had an infection when she gave birth to her daughter. So she told me these things. And I was like, and she goes, and if you have a temperature, you shake. And you can't.
So you're seeing like all this happen. So it's almost like reaffirming your belief system.
So I called the nurse and I go, tell the doctor I want a C-section right now. Yeah. I have an infection. She's like, well, we'll give you Tylenol. I go, no, because
No.
you're masking it. And then
You're listening to your body again.
yeah. And then the baby started to become in distress. So they're like, all right, we'll take you. So we go to the operating room again, because the epidural wasn't working. Like I moved myself to the table and I see my husband and he's getting all dressed to come in. And I'm laying there and all of a sudden I'm like, I think I'm going to vomit. And I just start to projectile vomit. Just, I don't know what it was, but I just getting sick. And then the guy was like, all right, well, we put in your, not anesthesia, but the thing to numb you again, right? So he goes, please lift, can you lift your legs? And they're putting that lidocaine on my stomach.
Yeah.
And all of that. I lift my legs. And the anesthesiologist is like, I've never in my career have seen this, because he did the epidurals and he goes, I have to put you under. Meanwhile, this is all happening. I'm puking and I'm like, no. And he goes, I can't, your husband can't come in because we're putting you under. And I go, no. And I just remember screaming, going, I need my husband. And the mask is on my face. I see him. And as women do, we have a fear where we could die during childbirth.
Well, it has happened.
Yes. And so
that came in your mind.
Immediately when I'm because I didn't know why I was projectile vomiting, then they're putting me under, won't let my husband in. So for me, I'm like, why won't they let my husband see this? It's
sanitary probably.
Yeah. But to me,
life is flashing before you a little bit.
And I'm like, okay, great. They're going to cut me open, take my daughter. And then it's just going to be my husband and my daughter.
Okay.
I was like, okay, this is happening. And
how did you stay calm in this moment?
I fought the anesthesia so hard.
Did you?
I wasn't staying calm. I was like, no, trying. And then I woke up and my daughter was on my chest and had no recollection. I was like, why am I in the hospital?
That's awful.
I had no idea I just had a baby. No, I couldn't remember I was pregnant. I was like, yeah. I was like, what just happened? And my husband was like, she's here.
You don't remember any of that.
No. I don't remember.
Your body was going into fight or flight. Your body was already protecting you.
Yeah. And I think that had something really to do, because again, this is a longer conversation that we could have, but again, I share.
I love this though.
But part of my postpartum depression and anxiety is, because of that birth and because of our journey with IVF and the losses of not wanting her to get out of the house, not wanting, I needed to control every situation. I needed to and also to connect with her in a way, because I also think it's and if somebody's had this experience as well, I would love to chat with them, because it's also your brain has to reprogram when you don't witness your child, being physically born from you. Yes, I know there's surrogacy and things like that. But when you're able to carry and then you can't witness your child being born, there's something taken from you.
Wait, did you vaginally deliver, or did they open
I wanted
you
to.
up?
No, they cut.
They did end up cutting you open. Yeah. Okay, because I was like, so
got a
you lift up
scar.
your legs. I was like, did the baby come out?
No.
Okay,
no,
so you got your baby out healthy. But
yes.
Back to that statement of, you felt like something was being taken from you or out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
How are you making peace with that now?
Oh, gosh.
Loaded question.
Yeah. Therapy.
Yeah.
But also too, I started on medication, which I'm so open and to talking about, because I think I was in a very, very dark place.
Yeah.
And I think that, it's important if it's something that it's for your journey, if that's something that you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, where I am in my journey, I was just speaking to my husband about it. It's okay, now we can get back into, more healing foods, like a detox. I want to do a parasite cleanse, all of those things because my goal is not to be on medication forever. That's just not.
And people see it. And that's I think such a common misconception is if I'm on medication, I'm on it forever, or it's really hard to get off. And you work with your doctor and talking about being the advocate, saying, I'm ready to be off that. You don't need to wait for your doctor,
Exactly.
I'm hearing that you're you can titrate off and you can titrate on, but people there's such a stigma around medication. I'm not a medication pusher, and I'm also very holistic in and you are too, about how we live your life, but we see it as a tool.
Yeah, because I knew taking care of this child, infancy and taking care of her, I knew I couldn't go out and work out. I couldn't go and make bone broth. I couldn't go and do all these things where it was if I had that time, that would be great, and I could do that and heal in those ways. But I couldn't, because also too, our community, our family doesn't live close by. So it was I needed this. And I can't tell you how many women and my friends like, yes, I took this medication. It saved me. I would not have survived if I didn't take this medication. And it's such a common statement that I've heard. And it's like, okay, so I don't.
It's just a tool. If we see it, keep it simple, like, and not judge ourselves, right? I have an episode that just got released on how to burn off anxiety, but it's
I'm gonna listen to that one.
not using medication,
Yes.
but I preach on this. It's like, I'm here to bring an education piece of just a different way for someone to look at a way to find happiness or create that joy. And, you did that for yourself. I'm sure you had your judgments, but I love the piece where it's like, you have a community that you've talked to. Has social media helped you process this postpartum and overcoming?
Yes. And that was the one thing where social media can be horrible in a lot of ways. Yeah. But so beautiful. And for me, I heal through sharing. So when we were going through our losses, I knew I didn't want to keep it in, because if I could help one person through my story, then that sharing it is worth it, And so that's why I've continued to share, about the postpartum anxiety and the depression in our life. But also too, I needed to get through that. And I wasn't sharing as much as I used to. And, I needed to go insular, because if I didn't, I knew I wouldn't be a good person for myself, a good mother.
And everything is an ebb and flow, right? Some days, like, I find myself being a sharer. Some days I'm like, I just really, like, I say Wyoming and Chicago as our two alter egos. I mean, we're literally living in the middle of nowhere, and we live in a big city. And so we have those times where we just need to honor ourselves. And it sounded like pulling inward is another tool that allowed you to process this.
And also too, with social media, what I want to say is, it was so beautiful, and it is so beautiful. If you're having any issues like that, like, please feel free to direct message me. And like, I would love to be that support, and having that community and women sharing their stories with me and me feeling like I'm not alone was, it's such a beautiful community. But also with social media is, a lot of people, they put on like it's like, what's the word? The highlight reel. And for me, that's never, I got trapped in that before the fertility journey, and like just trying to keep up, and it has to look this way and this and that. And I'm like, that's not what I share. If you want like truth, nitty gritty, some days are good, some days are bad, and it's okay. That's who I am.
I think that's a lot of the listeners tuning in, is I really preach on embracing the messy and showing up as ourselves without judgment. And there's all these perfect Instagrams, but that I hope to remind you guys that that's not real life.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about, like, I went down a rabbit hole on your page, and there is authenticity and there's realness, and, you've had a struggle, and that's what the premise of this podcast is about, is that's the joy, is the struggle.
Yes.
And we're on this journey to find happiness. And, whether you're dating through 50 guys, that 51st guy was the guy, right? And you had 18 months of pain to to build your foundation for your husband and to go through all the IVF. And, there is always an opportunity. And I'm hearing that over and over with yourself. To advise to listeners as we wrap up this podcast, is there anything we didn't talk about that really has been weighing on your heart that you really want to just share with listeners about your IVF journey or your evolution of just who you are that I didn't ask you about?
I don't think so. I feel like we can just continue.
I can always talk about that. But I think as we wrap up the podcast, if you don't have anything that I didn't ask you about, is, people struggle and we go through things, whether it's fertility, dating, being in the relationship that we might be stuck at a job that we don't like. What is your advice for those that are going through something that is a little more difficult?
Well, there's a saying that my mom would tell me that was, failure is just opportunity disguised as disappointment. And so you take that failure as an opportunity to learn and change or experience what you needed to. And, the only constant in life is change. And so you just got to keep moving with it. And what I have shared with my constant that I share is that it's okay to feel what you're feeling. Don't run from it, but also, like, yes, it's okay to feel what you're feeling, but if it ever gets too heavy, ask for help, reach out. Like, there are people there, and sometimes it's not the person closest to you, which is, it might be a stranger on Instagram that you've been talking to, or it might be a high school friend that you just reconnected with, or you see something similar. Like, it's just always reach out. There's somebody out there even though every story is unique and different, reach out.
And that's the hardest thing is reaching out. But once you get through that, you're helped. And I appreciate your time and sharing all this. Where can our listeners find you, connect with you? You talk about wellness and you talk about your clean products and you show your beautiful baby girl and your family. And I think a lot of people can relate to your mindset. So how can we connect with you off this platform?
So my website is themoderndayGirlfriend.com, but all of my socials are Arianna Salyards _. So that's AriannaSalyards _. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
You know what just popped into my mind? I know like I can always keep talking to you, but the modern day girlfriend evolved into like you being our bestie. Like the modern day girlfriend is not necessarily like you're my girlfriend, like you're a friend, right? So it's not just about dating, but a tool, a person that we can connect with.
That's what I always
said. We can trust.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I always like to say, because people were like, well, the girlfriend you have to be dating. I'm like, no, it could be a girlfriend to, a partner, but it's the girlfriend to your girlfriends, but also most importantly to yourself. Like you have to be a good girlfriend to yourself.
I really enjoyed our conversation.
Me too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to end this episode just a little bit differently. And I want you to actually take this episode home with you. And what do I mean by that? Just hear me out. We're going to have some homework. So this week for your homework, I want you to take a page out of Arianna's book and do something that scares you. I mean it. Maybe it's finally deleting that dating app that's been causing you more stress than joy, or perhaps it's having that tough conversation with a loved one that you've been avoiding. Whatever it is, I challenge you to lean into the discomfort and show up as your authentic self. Because as Ariana so eloquently put it, the only constant in life is change. So embrace it. Lean into it and watch as the happiness you've been hustling for starts to unfold. And remember, guys, no more hiding in closets, okay? We're stepping out into the light, owning our stories, and making space for the life we truly deserve. Amen. Until next episode, keep hustling. I hope today's episode left you better than when I found you. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and tune in every Monday to kickstart your week and set your weekly intentions with me. You can find me and HFH on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, or online at heycourtneybrooke.com. I firmly believe in the power of sharing. If you know someone else who would benefit from this podcast, please share it with them. And remember, when you work on you, I get to be there.